Neither of us can have kids. We might as well build a life together. I got married. Didn't they say you couldn't have kids? I went to Shenbo's engagement party. His fiancée was Lin Xiaoxue, daughter of a public company chairman, top school graduate, healthy, pretty enough for a billboard. Shenbo stood beside her smiling, like a completely different man. Someone walked past me whispering, "That's the ex who can't have kids. Why is she even here?" Maybe she doesn't realize she shouldn't be. Someone answered beside them. I didn't move. I just tightened my grip on my juice. 5 years. I'd spent 5 years in that family. I knew every relative, every title, every holiday, every family dinner. Now I sat in the corner like someone who had no right to be there. I'm Sunian, a 31-year-old OB/GYN nurse. I had a diagnosis of uterine abnormality, and after 5 years with the Shen family, I never had a child. Last week, Zhou Yunfang cut her wrist in front of a table full of relatives, forcing Shenbo to leave me. He grabbed the knife and cut his hand. When he looked at me, it wasn't anger. It was exhausted despair. Fine, I'll leave. So I did. 7 days later, he got engaged. I set down my juice to leave when a stranger spoke beside me. I turned and saw a man in a dark gray suit sitting nearby, tie perfectly straight, almost a head taller than Shenbo. He sat there like a drawn bowstring. I'm Gu Shen. I knew the name. He was Mrs. Gu's son. She was an honorary director in our hospital's OB/GYN department. The Gu family had major businesses in manufacturing, real estate, and investments. My mom sent me. She thinks you're a good match. I have a condition. I was injured in the military, and the test results weren't good. I probably can't be a father. He watched for my reaction. My mom thinks 2 imperfect people make a good match. A 2-year marriage contract. You get security, and at least no one will gossip about you behind your back. I looked at him. Tonight at my ex's engagement party, he'd seen everyone whisper about the woman who couldn't have children. Then he'd simply sat down beside me. I was too exhausted to even find it ridiculous anymore. Okay, 3 days from now at the marriage office. I'll have someone send you the address. He left. I sat there watching my ex and his glamorous fiancé accept everyone's blessings. The emptiness inside me felt different now. 2 broken people building a life together against a world obsessed with being whole. Maybe that was enough. 3 days later, I met Gu Shen at the marriage office. It was over fast. Photos, signatures, stamps, marriage certificate. He barely said 4 sentences. Gu Shen, move closer, a little to the left for the photo. Afterward, he drove me home in silence. Downstairs, he stopped the car. I'll send someone to help you move tomorrow. No need, I don't have much. He looked at me like a stranger. My mom sent me. Then he drove away. Other than our marriage certificate, we had no connection. His home was a luxury top-floor duplex on the east side, over 3,000 square feet, all dark marble, wood, and floor-to-ceiling windows. Expensive, cold, and lifeless. He stopped at a bedroom. This is your room. We'll sleep separately. You know what this marriage is. In 2 years, we go our separate ways. Until then, don't cause trouble for each other. Right. We were only sharing a life. What was I expecting? I rolled my suitcase into the room. A lamp, desk, bed, clean and cold, like a showroom. I looked at our marriage photo, then closed the certificate and put it away. I didn't know then that the man who said we'd separate in 2 years would someday leave a light on for me at night, wait with his hand on my belly for a kick, and name our daughter Nian King after me. Days passed. He left early and came home late. I cooked for myself, ate, and went back to my room. Sometimes we'd pass in the hallway and nod like polite strangers. Nearly 4 months went by. It wasn't painful, just numb. Then one morning, while brushing my teeth, something felt wrong. How long had it been since my last period? Over the next week, the nausea and dizziness got worse. Cooking smells made me sick, and every morning my head felt like lead. While Gu Shen was out, I bought a pregnancy test. My hands shook in the bathroom. Those 2 minutes felt endless. Then 2 red lines appeared. I backed against the cold tile wall, stared blankly, then picked it up again. 2 unmistakable lines. The next day, I went alone to the same hospital, same department, same doctor from 5 years ago. He looked surprised. It's been a long time. Doctor, I think I'm pregnant. Even saying it felt absurd. Blood work, ultrasound. The doctor moved the probe slowly over my abdomen, staring at the screen in silence. Then he turned it toward me. A tiny gestational sac floated there like a little bean. You're pregnant, 7 weeks. 7 weeks. The words exploded in my head. It was real. Tears poured out before I could stop them. 5 years of despair, loss, and being told I was broken all dissolved into those burning tears. You're very lucky. Gushen wasn't home when I returned. I sat on the couch waiting. Whether he believed me or not, whatever his reaction, he deserved to know. At 8:30 p.m., the lock clicked. Gushen walked in, still in his suit, briefcase in hand. I stood up and handed him the ultrasound report. He looked down once and froze like he'd been shocked. Then he looked at me, his eyes sharp as knives. The room went still. Whose is it? I understood instantly. He didn't believe it. After his military injury, doctors said his fertility might be damaged and his chances were extremely low. He'd always believed he could never become a father. But the words, "whose is it?" still cut deep. Understanding why didn't make them hurt less. They washed over me like ice water. Who do you think? My voice was calmer than his. Your mother told me your chances were under 30%. I was told mine were almost 0. Then Sunian, you'd better give me a reasonable explanation. He sounded like he was interrogating an employee. I can't explain it because I don't understand it either. I only know that since meeting you, I haven't been with another man. Believe me or don't. I turned away, but he blocked me and pulled an envelope from his suit. Inside were printed records, dates, locations, travel routes, restaurant bookings, hotel parking logs. My name was on page 1, a private investigator. He'd tracked my last 3 months before marriage. I read every page, put them neatly back in the envelope, took the ultrasound report from his hand and placed it on top. Mr. Gu, everything you wanted is right here. I don't need to say another word. I went back to my room and quietly closed the door. I sat on the bed with the ultrasound report on my knees. I didn't cry. Why would I? I folded it, put it deep in the drawer, and booked another appointment. Whatever happened, this was my child. That night, I heard him pacing the hallway for hours. Stop, walk, stop again. I didn't open the door. He never knocked. By morning, the envelope was still on the coffee table. I tore it up, threw it away, grabbed my bag, and went to the hospital. I knew everything was only beginning. Before my ultrasound, my phone buzzed. A message from Gushen. 4 words. What time are you back? I stared at it and didn't answer. The probe moved. Yesterday's sac was still there. Then the doctor shifted the probe and stopped. He moved it again and froze. Doctor? He turned the screen. Here's one. I see it. And another. I stopped breathing. And there's one more. Triplets. The word crashed through my head. I barely remember leaving the ultrasound room. I only remember sitting in my car, report on the steering wheel, while Gushen's message still glowed on my phone. Going home would be the real test. When I got home, Gushen was already in the living room. Where did you go? The hospital. He stood and reached for the ultrasound report. I stepped aside. I don't need you to believe me, but you need to know. I pushed the report toward him. He stared at it, then saw the note in the corner. 3 gestational sacs, 1 positioned low, fetal reduction evaluation recommended. His whole body tightened like a pulled wire, then suddenly went slack. 3? His voice was so low I barely heard him. The doorbell rang. Mrs. Gu walked in carrying groceries and immediately sensed the tension. She picked up the ultrasound report, put on her reading glasses, stared for 3 seconds, then said, Shenshen, go to the study. I need to talk to Sunian. Gushen went into the study. Mrs. Gu held my hand and let out a long sigh, more regret than emotion. Sunian, I need to tell you the truth. When I told you Gushen had a zoospermia, I lied. Gushen was injured during a military mission. The doctor said his sperm motility was impaired and needed long-term treatment. His chances were lower than average, but not 0. He never had a zoospermia. My fingertips went cold. After leaving the military, Gushen's girlfriend of 3 years left because the family pressure was too much. After that, he shut everyone out. His parents pushed him toward marriage for 4 years, but he ignored them. Then his mother got his medical report and had it altered, changing reduced motility and low fertility to azoospermia. She thought if he believed he'd never have children, he'd finally accept the marriage she arranged. Mrs. Gu's eyes filled with tears. I truly thought you were a good person. That part wasn't a lie. But Gushen believed he was infertile, so when he saw you were pregnant, his first reaction was, she didn't need to finish. His hands had shaken when he pulled out the investigator's records. His voice had cracked when he asked, "Whose is it?" He wasn't really accusing me. He truly believed the child couldn't be his. He didn't doubt me. He doubted himself. "You should tell him yourself." Mrs. Gu nodded and went into the study. I couldn't hear what she said, only that Gu Shen stayed silent for a long time. Then came one soft, suppressed sound, like something inside him finally broke. The study door opened. Gu Shen's face was pale. He looked at me with something beyond doubt or coldness, pure regret. He walked over slowly. "I'm sorry. Hiring the investigator was wrong. And those 2 words, I never should have doubted you." I didn't say it's okay because it wasn't. I only said, "I understand. Sit down. We still have something to decide. Whether we keep all 3 babies is something we decide together." His expression changed, focused, and serious. He read every word of the report. "The 3rd one is low? How low? What did the doctor say?" "We haven't discussed it yet. I need a family member there tomorrow." "I'm going with you." It wasn't a question. That night, the 3 of us ate at the same table for the first time. Nobody said much, but the dead silence that had filled the home was gone. The night the lie fell apart became the first night this family truly breathed. The next morning, Gu Shen knocked at 7. Dark circles under his eyes said he hadn't slept. At the hospital, he opened my door, followed me through check-in and the line, always half a step behind. While we waited, he silently handed me warm water. In the exam room, he spoke first. "Doctor, I'm her husband. Yesterday's scan showed 3 fetuses, with 1 in an abnormal position. Please explain the situation and our options in detail." The doctor explained that triplets are high risk. Triplets put far more strain on the mother than 1 baby, with higher risks of premature birth, growth problems, and bleeding. The 3rd sac was low, which could raise placenta previa risk. Reduction was an option, but it carried risks too. Gu Shen asked one question after another. "How long should we observe? How much does the risk drop if it moves naturally? What's the difference between reducing now and waiting 2 weeks?" He sounded like he was reviewing a major deal. Outside the exam room, we walked side by side. "Let's wait 2 weeks. Keep all 3? I stopped and looked at him. "If the position is still bad in 2 weeks, we'll discuss it again, but right now, we don't touch any of them." "Are you sure?" I researched triplet pregnancies last night, so that's why he hadn't slept. My throat tightened. "Okay, 2 weeks." He walked beside me in silence. "Sunyan, I'm sorry." It was his second apology, calm and serious. I still didn't say it was okay. I only said, "I know." As we left the hospital, his hand lightly brushed the back of mine. He didn't hold it, just touched it, then pulled away. Somewhere inside me, a tiny crack opened, and a little light slipped through. 2 weeks later, the 3rd sac had moved up naturally. All 3 were now in relatively safe positions. "You're lucky. We can start the pregnancy file." All 3 babies were still there and doing well. Outside the hospital, Gu Shen stopped. "Sunyan, thank you." "For what?" "For choosing to keep them." "I didn't do anything. They were the ones who refused to leave." He looked at me, and the corner of his mouth moved. It was the first time I'd ever seen him smile. Barely there, gone in an instant. But I saw it. Life slowly changed. He started coming home before 7:30 and even cooking. The first time he made scrambled eggs, he burned them and filled the kitchen with smoke. I laughed. He looked back, ears turning red, then kept glaring at the pan. "This tastes terrible. You cook. You chop the tomatoes." That night we made dinner together. It wasn't bad. He started noticing everything. I mentioned strawberry yogurt once. 3 boxes appeared in the fridge. A scent made me nauseous. It vanished the next day. My back hurt on the couch. He'd silently place a cushion behind me. His actions said what he never did. Mrs. Gu visited more often, probably from guilt. "Did you quit smoking?" "Yes." "When?" "Last week." She nodded, then told me, "If he sneaks one, tell Mom." I knew he'd really quit. The faint smell of tobacco was gone. On the drive home, he asked what music I liked and downloaded an album I'd mentioned once. I thought he'd forgotten. I leaned against the window, listening as streetlights passed. Maybe even 2 stones can warm each other after enough time. One sunny weekend, Gu Shen took me walking in the park. He stepped away to answer a call while I sat on a bench. Sunian. A familiar voice came from behind me. Shenbo stood there, staring at my slightly rounded belly. Long time no see. You got married? Yeah. And the baby? My husband's. Is there a problem? His eyes held regret, bitterness, and something almost obsessive. Sunian, I'm divorced. That's your problem. We were together 5 years. What we had... That ended the day you said those words in front of everyone. I left nothing behind that I want back. You're pregnant now. Sunian, you know that baby could be ours. Enough. I wasn't the one who said it. Gushen was. He stood behind me, one hand naturally resting on my shoulder, his gaze colder than I'd ever seen it. Not anger, contempt. My wife is finished talking. Is there anything else you need to add? Shenbo's face changed. Mr. Gu, I don't know you, and I don't care to. My wife isn't feeling well. Standing here talking to you was already more courtesy than you deserved. We're done. He guided me away. After a few steps, I said, thank you. His hand stayed on my shoulder. No need. Shenbo, when you left cleanly. Now that you're back, you're nothing. 4 quiet days passed. On the 5th, Shenbo made his move. Gushen's assistant called. The Shen family's lawyer had sent a letter claiming Mrs. Gu interfered with Shenbo's emotional rights and demanding compensation for reputational damage. So that was his plan. Turn a vague relationship dispute into leverage against the Gu family. He assumed they wanted to avoid scandal, that Mrs. Gu had something to hide, and that I could be used as a bargaining chip. He misjudged Gu Shen. That afternoon, Shenbo's new wife, Lin Xiaoxue, posted in our hospital staff group. She shared old photos of me with Shenbo, accused us of staying involved, questioned my baby's paternity, claimed I'd deceived the Gu family, and called me a homewrecker. Within 10 minutes, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. I turned it face down and sat still. One baby kicked softly, almost asking, "What's wrong?" I put my hand on my belly. Nothing. Mom's here. The lock clicked. Gushen came in and sat across from me. Saw it? Yeah. How do you feel? Tired. More tired than angry. I've already handled the Shen family. He showed me 3 calls. Tax and business investigations had opened against the Shen family's companies in 3 cities. Their legal letter had been withdrawn. Every defamatory post Lin Xiaoxue made had been saved, and a lawsuit would be filed tomorrow. He looked at me. Sunian, anything else you want handled? I stared at him. What name did you use when you called Shenbo's firm? Mine, Gushen. In this city, those 2 words are enough. They were enough because of everything he'd built over the years, and today he used all that weight for me. Gushen, thank you. He shook his head. You're my wife. If they come after you, they're coming after someone who's mine. That night, he brought me warm water and set it beside me. Something settled quietly inside my chest. A very specific feeling. Safety. I hadn't felt that in a long time. With the Shen family, my safety depended on their approval. The moment they changed their minds, it disappeared. Gushen was different. He wasn't allowing me to feel safe. He was putting his own strength in front of me. After that, Shenbo disappeared. Lin Xiaoxue deleted her posts and published a formal apology that sounded written by lawyers. The Shen family's businesses in 3 cities were shut down, but the trouble wasn't over. The next storm came from inside the Gu family. Gushen got a call for an emergency board meeting. I waited almost 4 hours. His uncle, Gu Mingxuan, had always wanted his shares. Gushen never talked about him, but Mrs. Gu's voice always tightened whenever his name came up. After news of my pregnancy spread, Gu Mingxuan claimed Gushen's military injury made his fertility questionable, so my pregnancy was suspicious. If the babies weren't really Gu heirs, Gushen's status and ownership rights should be reconsidered. He even produced the altered medical report stating Gushen had severely damaged fertility and should be treated as infertile. He turned Gushen's injury and that fake report into a fight for control of the family business. Gushen came home looking unnaturally calm. What are you going to do about Gu Mingxuan? Already handled it. He changed his coat and sat down. How? He showed me the documents from the board meeting. His original military hospital records, injury file, and follow-up reports showing improvement and possible fertility. My mom altered her copy. The military originals were untouched. At the meeting, he put both files side by side, his mother's altered copy and the military hospital original with its official seal. Then legal action began for false accusations, misinformation, and interference with inheritance rights. I stared at him. Gushen, aren't you afraid of the paternity results? He paused. No, because I know they're mine. This time there was no suspicion, no investigator's report, just certainty. By the time the DNA results came back, Gu Mingxuan's lawyer was already drafting a settlement. All 3 babies were Gushen's. He placed the report in front of his uncle. Anything else? No anger, no triumph, just finality. Later, Mrs. Gu told me Gu Mingxuan turned pale when the original records hit the table. He'd forgotten one thing. Changing a copy was easy, but Gu Shen had served in the military. Nobody could alter those official records. After that, life finally calmed down. One day I passed the study and noticed the door wasn't fully closed. Gu Shen sat at his desk, deeply focused on a book, making notes in the margins. I pushed the door open. It was a guide to managing multiple pregnancies. His ears turned slightly red. You should knock. When did you buy this? A week ago. He'd been studying since the day we learned about the triplets, even printing newer medical research to update the outdated chapters. He pulled out 3 journal articles highlighted by risk level. This is about lower back pressure in the 2nd trimester. You've already had pain, so I ordered a maternity support belt. And triplets require much more iron and calcium. Mom's adjusting your meals. He kept explaining, but I barely heard the words anymore. I just watched him carefully walk me through every note. He wasn't showing off. He was simply telling me what he'd done, what he was doing, and what he planned to do. Then you're making dinner, I'll teach you ribs. Triplets need calcium. The soup came out creamy and good. How is it? Passing grade. He kept eating, but I caught the tiny smile he was trying to hide. This wasn't settling anymore. It was actually nice. The Gu family gathering was at the end of the month. In the car, Gu Shen told me 3 things. Don't explain our marriage to anyone. If anyone talks, I'll handle it. Sit beside me. That's all you need to do. Mrs. Gu announced everything herself. First our marriage, then my pregnancy, then the triplets. The room went silent for 2 full seconds before exploding. 3? 3 at once? Gu Shen, impressive. A distant uncle joked. You married pretty fast. Pregnant before the wedding? Gu Shen looked at him calmly. No. The pregnancy began 4 months after our legal marriage. If you're confused about the timeline, I can have the doctor verify it. After dinner, Gu Jianming pulled me aside. Gu Shen has always been terrible at expressing himself. What he says and what he feels are often completely different. He cares deeply. He just doesn't know how to show it. Dad, don't worry, I know. On the drive home, I said, your dad says you've never been good at expressing feelings. His hands shifted on the wheel. Just small talk. I think you're pretty good at it. The research, notes, support belt, and what you did today, I remember all of it. After parking, he opened my door. I took 2 steps before he called, Sunyan. Under the streetlight, hands in his pockets, he looked like words were stuck in his throat. Say it. He was silent for 3 seconds. I don't wake early because it's a habit. I wake because I'm worried. About what? Something going wrong. Then he looked away and headed toward the elevator. Let's go inside. It's cold. A little more light slipped through that thin wall between us. After my shower that night, a king-size bed had replaced my smaller one. Gu Shen was arranging pillows. The pregnancy book says someone should stay nearby in case of emergencies. He finally looked at me, ears red. I sleep quietly. I don't take up much room. I don't snore. Which side? Near the door. Easier if you need help. Okay. In the dark, his breathing was suspiciously controlled. Gu Shen. Yeah, definitely awake. You're nervous. No. You're controlling your breathing. He exhaled softly. Go to sleep. At 3 a.m., I got up for the bathroom. He woke the second I moved. When I returned, the bedside lamp was glowing softly. He lay with his back to me like he was asleep, but I knew he'd left the light on. Thank you. His shoulder moved slightly. By morning, his side of the bed was perfectly made. I walked into the kitchen and smelled eggs. He stood at the stove in an apron. Breakfast is almost ready. You didn't really sleep last night. You were listening to me breathe. He paused, but didn't deny it. Old habit. Back in the military. He stopped. Never mind. You served? A long time ago. Will you tell me someday? He looked at me. Eat first. Maybe later. Progress. I took a bite. His chopsticks paused, and that tiny smile appeared again. You never told me you served, but the way you protect me makes sense now. Later in the pregnancy, Gu Shen redesigned the house. He installed an emergency button beside the bed linked to his phone and removed every rug so I wouldn't trip. He bought prenatal yoga classes and did 20 minutes with me every night. He looked terrible doing the poses, but never skipped once. Mrs. Gu laughed for ages watching him. He glared at her. She tried to look serious, but couldn't hide her smile. One afternoon, I sat beside him while he read documents. The baby suddenly started moving hard. I grabbed his hand and pressed it to my belly. Feel that? He froze, palm cool and trembling. Then another strong kick came. His eyes instantly lit up. It wasn't his sharp business look or his calm after winning a fight. It was pure wonder. It moved? All three. The youngest kicked hardest. He lowered his face toward my belly. Hey, number 3, don't bully Mom. His voice was barely a whisper. Something tapped gently inside my heart. Don't bully Mom. In that moment, I finally saw the real him. During my second trimester, I went for a routine appointment. Gu Shen had a meeting, so his assistant drove me. While I waited, someone called my name. Shenbo and Lin Xiaoxu stood there. She was pregnant too, maybe 3 or 4 months. Su Nian, long time no see. Her tone dripped with smugness. I heard you married that Gu guy, the one with the fertility problem. People looked over. With your situation, people still aren't sure whose babies those are, right? She glanced between our bellies. Why didn't you hold on to Shenbo, even if you couldn't have kids? Enough. I looked at her calmly. We already did DNA testing. All 3 babies are Gu Shen's. The report is filed with the board. Did you sign the settlement and apology for your staff group posts yet? Lin Xiaoxu's smile froze. Shenbo stood beside her without saying a word. 5 years ago, he hadn't defended me. Today, he still didn't. Then the waiting room door opened. Gu Shen walked in wearing a black jacket, car keys in hand, apparently straight from his meeting. He saw me, then Shenbo and Lin Xiaoxue, and came straight over. He looked down at me questioningly. I shook my head. He nodded. My wife's 3 babies are all mine. The DNA report is on file with the Gu Group board. Our legal team has a record of what you just said, too. He looked at both of them. Anything else? The room went silent. Shenbo turned pale. Lin Xiaoxue stepped back. Gu Shen helped me stand. Come on, it's our turn. As we walked, he asked quietly, what did he say? Nothing, just checking if my life was going well. His grip on me tightened slightly. The people who'd been staring all looked away. My ex and his new wife had come hoping to see me embarrassed. Too late. There was nothing left for them to laugh at. Gu Shen stood beside me. That was enough. The kiss happened unexpectedly. That night, Gu Shen finished wrapping my sprained ankle and gently checked if it still hurt. We were close enough to count each other's lashes. Without thinking, I leaned down and lightly kissed him. Soft as a feather. Like a question. I immediately regretted it and tried to pretend nothing happened. But he stood, braced a hand on the bed, and looked down at me. His eyes weren't cold or suspicious. Something hot had finally broken through. Then he kissed me back. This time it wasn't light. He pulled me into his arms and kissed me like he needed to make everything clear. When we finally separated, our foreheads touched and both of us were breathing hard. Su Nian, I need to tell you something. Before you married me, Mom said nobody had treated you well for 5 years. I thought, then I'll do it. But I believed I couldn't give you a complete family, so I drew those boundaries so you could leave any time. The investigator was wrong. I wasn't scared of the evidence. I was scared. Of what? That the baby wasn't mine. I stared at him. You already liked me, so you used those records to stop yourself? He didn't deny it. Do those boundaries still exist? No. Since when? Since the day you put my hand on your belly. My eyes burned. I don't want that 2-year agreement anymore either. He slowly wrapped his hand around mine. We sat there in silence, the city lights outside. For the first time, I felt completely steady. My belly grew huge. Every morning, Gu Shen woke first, arranged my pillows, helped me sit up, supported my waist, and waited patiently while I found my balance. When my ankles swelled, he bought 3 sizes of wide slippers and massaged my back every night. You learned this fast. The medical article had diagrams. Of course, this man researched how to massage a pregnant woman before trying it. He canceled every social event. After 10 p.m., his phone stayed silent beside me so I could touch his hand if I needed him. Mrs. Gu joked about his dark circles. He listened, then looked at me. It's fine. At least the baby's mom will be the prettiest one. I didn't react fast enough. Mrs. Gu laughed and went to the kitchen. I turned away from him, but I couldn't hide the heat in my face. My due date drew closer. One night, strong contractions woke me. Gu Shen sat up before I spoke. How far apart? Less than 5 minutes. 3. Mrs. Gu came out in a coat. Gu Jianming behind her. Gu Shen already had the hospital bag by the door. Let's go. I'll carry you downstairs. I can walk. I'm carrying you. I lay against his back. He moved slowly and carefully, like he was carrying the most precious thing in the world. At the hospital, I went straight into surgery. Gu Shen changed into sterile clothes and held my hand. Don't look anywhere else. Look at me. I was scared. Gu Shen, I'm right here. If something happens, nothing will happen. I won't allow it. Then came the first loud cry. Tears flooded my eyes. A boy. The oldest is out. Gu Shen's voice trembled. Soon the second baby arrived. A girl. About 20 seconds later, the third cried louder than both of them. Gu Shen leaned down and pressed his forehead to mine. He said nothing, but his breathing shook. The oldest was 7.4 pounds, the girl 6.9, and the youngest 6.6. All three were healthy. I looked at Gu Shen. He stood watching the babies, eyes wet and bright, jaw tight as he tried to hold himself together. Then he looked at me. Neither of us spoke. We didn't need to. Some things can't be said, but they're all in the eyes. Gu Shen called his mother. Mom, all three are here. They're healthy. Oldest is a boy, second is a girl, youngest is a boy. She went silent for 5 seconds, then covered her face and cried. When Gu Shen came in, I'd just left surgery. How's Mom? Fine. She took off her glasses to wipe her tears, but she denies it. I laughed, then winced. Does it hurt? A little. He sat beside me and held my hand again. Nothing else needed saying. Mrs. Gu came in with red eyes but her usual commanding expression. She carefully checked each baby, then her knees suddenly weakened. Gu Jianming caught her. I'm fine. I just can't believe they're really here. All three. Consider it karma for lying. Gu Shen's comment stunned her, then she burst out laughing and wiped her eyes. You brat, your mother almost fainted and you're still taking shots at me. Gu Shen looked at the sleeping youngest. He's the biggest troublemaker. He'll be a handful. I think he's like you. How? You call him trouble, but your eyes say he's your treasure. He went quiet and turned away. His ears turned red. That night, Gu Shen leaned down and kissed my forehead. You worked hard. Thank you. For what? For bringing them here. I didn't answer. I just squeezed his hand. I slept deeper that night than I ever had before. 5 years ago, I'd left this hospital alone, clutching a diagnosis like a death sentence. 5 years later, all three of my babies were here and healthy. 7 days later, we left under a bright blue sky, surrounded by family. 5 years earlier, I'd walked into this hospital alone, received my sentence alone, and walked out alone. I thought that would define the rest of my life. Now I had 3 children and a family. The world really was different. The nursery was ready. 3 cribs stood side by side. Blue decorations for the oldest, pink for our daughter, and dark blue stars Gu Shen chose for the youngest. He said the loudest baby needed serious colors to calm him down. I said that made no sense. That night we discussed names. Gu Jianming had elegant, traditional ones. Mrs. Gu wanted bold, easy names. Gu Shen stayed quiet, then wrote 3 names. Gu Jinwan, Gu Nianqing, Gu Jilai. Jinwan, knowing warmth. Nianqing, remembering love. Jilai, knowing the future. Simple names, but each felt real. How long have you been thinking about these? Since we found out there were 3. My eyes immediately burned. Mrs. Gu read them aloud. Nianqing, remembering what? Sunian. Her name has neon. Our second child is a girl. I wanted her to carry part of her mother's name. Mrs. Gu lowered her head and wiped her eyes. The names were settled. That night, after the babies were asleep, Gushen and I sat on the balcony. Is Nian King really named after me? Yeah. When did you decide? The day we learned she was a girl. I wanted our daughter to carry her mother's name wherever she goes. My throat tightened. Gushen, I love you. He froze and looked at me like he wasn't sure he'd heard. I said it again. His eyes slowly reddened. He pulled me into his arms. Me too. The day you put my hand on your belly, I knew I was done for. At the Triplets' 1-month celebration, everyone reacted the same way. Stunned then. Really? 3? Gushen stayed beside me the entire time. Near the end, a distant relative joked, Shen, your mom picked you a pretty good wife. Gushen calmly raised his glass. My mom didn't pick her, I chose her. The relative froze, laughed awkwardly, and walked away. My heart felt warm, really warm. On the drive home, he said, those 3 rules were my problem, not an assessment of you. I know. You do? You wore out that pregnancy book, remembered my music, and touched my hand in the parking lot. That's not what a temporary husband does. He pulled over and looked at me with complete seriousness. I figured it out. I don't want a temporary marriage anymore. I want you. Gushen, I recorded that. He froze. I'm kidding, but I'll remember it. He looked at me, and this time he couldn't hide the smile. A real one, with the tiniest dimple I'd never seen before. I laughed too. He took my hand, and we sat there by the road in silence. Nothing needed explaining anymore. Some detours only look like detours until you finish them. The Triplets turned 1. Jinuan was serious like Gushen. Nianqing smiled like me. July was the loudest and most impatient, but when he laughed, the whole room seemed brighter. July was the first to say, Mama. The day he said it, I stood holding him for a long time, unable to speak. Gushen walked over and wrapped both of us in his arms. He said nothing, but I felt his hold tighten. That night after the babies fell asleep, I asked, do you remember the day we got married? Yeah. You wore a white coat, no makeup, and looked distant. Mom showed me your picture before we met. You looked lonely, but your eyes were clear. So that's why you agreed? Partly. It wasn't all Mom's idea. I wanted to. Then why make those 3 rules? I was afraid you wouldn't want me. The rules gave me an exit if you didn't. I stared at him. Gushen, your logic has always been complicated. You hate it? No. I'm just glad you said yes back then. Me too. He put down his glass and took my hand. His palm was warm and familiar. Su Nian, that diagnosis was never a sentence. I know. It never will be again. I looked into the deepest, warmest eyes I'd ever known. Gushen, we're going to be really, really happy. He nodded with complete certainty. We are. Wind lifted the curtains as the city lights glowed outside. I remembered leaving the hospital alone 5 years ago, with that diagnosis in my hand, believing gray would be the color of my whole life. But it wasn't. Life isn't a sentence. Sometimes what you lose is simply waiting for you somewhere else. You just have to keep moving and believe there's light ahead. I found Gushen, our 3 children, and the home I'd always wanted. Later, I found that old diagnosis and read it one last time. Then I folded it, sealed it in an envelope, and put it at the bottom of my nightstand. Not to forget it, but to tell it. You were never my sentence. You were only the road that brought me here.